As a child, I understood. As a child, I thought. As a child, but when I became a man,
all right,
I put away childish things.
Oh, man. People are going to be excited about what we're talking about today. Chris has been singing for 5 solid minutes.
When I was a child, I spoke as it's just catchy. It's
catchy. It's catchy.
It's one of the catchier verses.
You're very excited about this.
It's made for song. It's made for sing song.
It's made for sing song. You know, it's speaking of sing song, I heard someone recently got an AARP piece of mail.
Oh my!
In your mailbox. Interesting.
I don't know if I'm ready to talk.
Was that you that received something? You want to tell the youth of America what AARP is for?
It's not a childish thing.
Okay.
It is an elder man type of
it's like a club.
It's like a club. It's like a club. It's not like a treehouse club. It's like a
what's it for? It's like benefits for. Is it like 90 years old and up, or tell us what it's for?
Maybe 50.
Not everyone knows what that's for.
Maybe it starts at 50 and goes up to.
Do you know
90.
what it stands for? AARP.
Artistic.
No, you don't know. You don't know. Okay.
No, I don't.
So basically, for the people out there,
that was bad grammar too. Artistic.
We don't even know what you said. It's something for you get this when you get a little older.
Yeah. Well, you know so much about it.
Actually,
so you're obviously waiting for this to happen.
I'm not there yet, so I haven't got this in the mail yet. You just walked right into that one. Only one of us have got that in the mail. So I have not been privy to know what that's for yet. I've been told it's for old people. I still don't know what it is.
You got a problem with old people?
What is it? You still haven't said what it is.
It's a card that gives benefits.
What for? What?
For being an older person.
Like a 3 p.m. dinner at Luby's? A coupon for the movies?
That's just stereotyping old people. Right there.
What?
We're really getting uncomfortable
what
here.
Is the membership?
I don't know if this is what we want to do with our.
What do you get with it? What do you get with it?
You got to get in the club. You got to be in the club.
You're not going to say it. Okay. Oh, well, I genuinely don't know what it is, but I'm excited you got it in the mail. I feel like that's a good milestone moment for you.
We can call it a milestone.
Okay. Well, apparently you're not ready to talk about it yet, so we'll tap into that insecurity in the future. We'll do a whole interview on old age and maybe around your birthday. You're turning. Yes. I think you're turning 70 this year.
Again,
decade turner,
getting close to 50.
Oh, 50! Here we go. 50. That's exciting.
Whippersnapper.
That's
what are
exciting.
you? You've just turned 40. Didn't
I'm feeling strong.
Strong, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, feeling really strong.
Hey, Mike. That decade goes by really quick.
Oh dear.
Oh, it's gonna go by so quick.
Okay. Well.
But anyway, we're not talking about older people today. We're talking about, well, in a way, but what we're talking about is childish things.
Childish things like,
as in putting them away,
like action figures, Legos.
Well, there's a little bit of a story that goes along with that. I guess a little mental picture.
It's funny. Before you get into that mental picture, it's interesting. This is just got in breaking news. We have a special guest. And this special guest, I know, that's why I said breaking news that you couldn't know. This special guest heard what we were talking about today, and he called in. It's funny, he called me, he didn't call you. He left me a message. He wanted me to play that for us and for our audience on what he thought about this today. So let's listen in.
Hey, Mike. And Clint. Mike, Clint. How you doing? It's me, Mark. Yeah, that Mark. Wahlberg. Yeah, I hear you're talking about putting away childish things. I hear you're talking to the men. I hear there's a lot of man boys out there walking around, playing video games, wearing hoodies, doing all this stuff that's not making them go anywhere. They got to do better. And you're going to help them. Talk to them. Tell them. I mean, look at me. I've been up at 3 in the morning here. I've been working out. I've been running 5 businesses. I made pancakes for my family. Gluten-free. I've had a full day. It's not even 9 o'clock. So yeah, I think putting away childish things is a good idea. Start getting those boys to be men. Not those boys to men. I mean, I had the Funky Bunch. That was a lot better. You know what I mean? Say hello to your family for me.
Okay, well, that was, what do you think about that phone call? That was Mark Wahlberg himself, everyone. Thank you, Mark.
I'm a little scared, but yet encouraged.
He was really excited to share that. I did get that message at 3:30 a.m., so he's very, very awake.
He must have just woke up
in the morning. Well, I think, I don't know if he ever sleeps, but yeah, that was, thank you, Mark, for that encouragement. Would you kind of agree the way he's teed off this subject matter? Is that kind of how we're talking about things today?
I think Mark came in a little bit aggressive there. But
strong.
But no, I think we tend to try to take more of a reasonable, calm approach here. We try to, at least.
Well, Wahlberg, if you're listening, apparently to Chris, you are unreasonable and aggressive.
Calm down, Mark. I know we know Mike Tyson.
That was we'll get him. We'll get him soon. Probably. I think he's actually going to give us a call back before his fight. So okay. All right, childish things. Putting away childish things.
Yeah, this is one that's always caused me a little bit of pause because I was like, what are childish things? What qualifies? And what are we to put away? And then why are we to put them away? And what's wrong with being a child? And then I get, kind of prideful there and say, I don't want to, put away anything I don't understand. So help me understand it.
Yeah.
But in this case, I do have at least a story when I did put away childish things. I was probably about maybe 11 going on.
A year ago?
No,
11. Okay, sorry.
No, we're going back to 11. 11 going on 12. I'm playing with my mixture or combo of Star Wars figures and G.I. Joes and just having a good time.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No. What? I didn't have the strength for this.
This is our age difference right here.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
You play with your little
Batman. Did you ever have Batman things?
I had Batman things. I had Marvel things.
Okay,
but mostly GI Joes. And Star Wars figures.
I had Army Men. I had some Star Wars stuff.
Yeah,
we're in the hunt.
Yeah,
we're in the hunt.
You had some stuff.
Please continue.
You had childish things.
Okay, my apologies.
But I do remember that when I had moved to Texas, I was wanting to be friends with these guys that seemed to be pretty cool. They had jean jackets, they had Guess watches, they had Swatch watches.
There we go.
Swatch watches. Yeah, that's the old age.
Yeah,
happening.
It's okay. AARP.
Thank you. And so I was hoping to hang out with them, and I remember they came to my apartment to ask me to go and hang out with them. And as soon as I saw them walking up to the door, those Star Wars figures and those G.I. Joes went in a box and they didn't come out again.
Oh, man. So that was it for you.
That was it for me. That was putting away childish things. They were uncool at the time, and I feel like I grew up a little bit that day. And that's just my mental picture there of what it means to do so. But that's not really what we're talking. We're not talking about putting away toys. And certainly if you are an adult playing with, Star Wars figures and things like that, you're probably playing with your kids, right?
Yeah. That's what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's what,
keep doing that. Play with your kids.
If it's not, and you have some Star Wars figures, we can dedicate an episode towards that. And we're not saying that's terrible by yourself, not
in itself, but
let's keep going. Let's save that. We'll save that subject for another time. You're making me think, when did I put away? I know we're not specifically talking about like when we got rid of some childish things, but now you're making me think of an example. I think, let's see, I had some of those. I played a lot of video games when I was little. I think I played a lot of video games with my brother, or we'd go play outside, go play baseball. I don't think I was ever really like embarrassed, like I need to put them away. I don't think until girls came around. So I was a little bit older. And then I think when girls started to come around, I was like, okay, I don't want like a girl to come in and I'm like ignoring her and playing a video game.
Okay.
Like on the
So
floor.
It didn't have to do with her being a girl and playing a video game.
It was, no, it was just, I think for some reason, then I started thinking like, I don't know, maybe this might be a little too child. Maybe I need to put this up.
Okay.
I think that was the first time I started thinking that way. That was a couple years ago, after I got married. So I finally put that away, in my upper 30s. So hopefully people can sense the sarcasm there, but I realized that that was not working well. So my apologies. you can't hit them all. You got to sometimes.
I was just going to let you hang out there, but
you were. Thank you. You didn't say anything. Thanks for just doing that. Sometimes it's reps. Humor. Sometimes it's just a matter of reps.
Just get back on the horse, Mike.
Do it 30 times.
Get back on the
29 are terrible, and 1 will come through. So
yeah.
All right then.
It was pretty solid.
Back to you, co-host Chris. I'm not talking for 5 minutes.
Well, just wondering about what childish things look like today, just in our older age, might I say. And then we're certainly covering a lot of ages out there. We know, folks who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and above, and so it can look differently. But what would you say are things that would qualify as childish things?
See, these are going to be hot takes, because depending on what we say right here, there's going to be guys out there. They're going to be so mad when we say this. Okay, so we're talking. What am I going to say that's childish that like a grown man, or woman, but a grown up maybe shouldn't spend too much time on? Is that kind of what you're?
That is, and I'm wondering if are they really things? Are they things that you can hold and feel and taste, touch, or are they attitudes? Are they
maybe both? The attitude would drive doing the thing, I guess. Okay, what comes to mind for me, so you're putting me on the spot because did not prep this, is I'm envisioning the grown-up guy kind of laying around on the couch, definitely playing video games, doesn't want to work, doesn't want to hold a job, kind of wants a mooch off of maybe his parents or girlfriend.
Cheeto stains on the t-shirt.
Definitely Cheeto stains. Okay. He's eating like puffy Cheetos. He's not even willing to crunch. No. He's skipping the crunchy Cheetos. He's too lazy. So he just wants he wants the puffy Cheeto to disintegrate in his mouth, right? So
too lazy to crunch.
Come on, guy. Grow up. Get some crunch in there. No, definitely that kind of guy comes to mind. I don't know. This is someone who's kind of drifting and just doing kind of what they want to do and just abdicating responsibility. This is hard for me to think of some more specific what comes to mind for you?
Well, I know the same kind of picture comes to mind, and that tends to be the caricature, right, of a person that is childish and living in the basement, or we don't have basements around here in Texas, but in the spare room, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
That just refuses to grow up. Doesn't want any responsibility.
Yeah.
Often I think it's more subtle. It's maybe an attitude or it's an activity where it just still has a hold of you and prevents you from doing the best.
Yeah.
Or from even discovering or trying to find out what is the best for you. And so
like almost like you're settling, like maybe you're like, you know what? I don't want to rock the boat in my life. I just kind of want to do what like makes me happy or what's easy. Maybe it's like taking the path of least resistance, like all the time, like, cause life is hard, but I guess you can kind of fake yourself out, I guess, by going down a path of, I'm in the basement. Don't want to rock the boat. I don't need to have bills, responsibilities. I'm just going to kind of live and
be a child. A child doesn't have to worry, right? I mean, I've heard John Piper describe it this way, that, you could have a parent with their child at a bank, and that child's in the stroller and they're napping while everybody else around them is concerned about their finances. And the child isn't. They're in the stroller. They're sleeping. They are 100% content. They know that mom or dad, whoever's pushing that stroller, that they have it under control.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And I think that's a great place to be when you are younger, and when you are
when you're a child.
When you are a child, that's exactly the position we should be in, right? It's as we get older and we're still depending on our mom, our dad, our guardian, others to do things for us, to where we don't grow up, or we're not prompted to grow up. Our attitude is that, well, if it's done for me, then I don't have to do it, and I can think about these other things. And sometimes those other things are the easiest path. It's the path to the least resistance, and it sometimes does come in the form of entertainment.
Well, so someone may hear that. So let me ask you a question. Someone may hear what you just said on the bank and go, okay, so does that mean growing up is not being content or peaceful? Like I should be worrying about my finances? Like what's the, you know what I mean? Like
and that's a good question.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, we should look at it as, well, the marker of you being grown up is the fact that you have more worries or concerns. No.
So what would it mean to grow up then? Like what would be a good...
embracing responsibility.
Yeah.
Like actually seeing the joy and the value that you can get from being responsible with what God has given you to be responsible.
Like responsibility actually being a positive thing.
A positive thing.
Not a downer, negativity, all the negative connotations that come with when people talk about responsibility. There's actually a redeemable, positive quality of that.
And you've seen that, and across social media, or just in our culture here today, it's adulting, and that makes people upset or sad. Or I have
definitely in the negative. I gotta go do adulting
today.
Oh yeah.
It kind of sounded like Seinfeld there. Sorry,
that was a little bit. Well, what's the deal? What's the deal with adulting?
But
no, you're right. That's actually talked about. It's funny you said it's talked about in the negative. People don't say adulting in the godly, God glorifying, redeemable, positive, like fulfillment in adulting and having responsibilities. Just talked about like, oh, I have to go be an adult today, kind of a thing.
And I think as Christians, that's the progression path, right? Is we're to grow towards spiritual maturity.
Yeah.
And if we are 40 to knocking on the door of your AARP card and we're still shunning responsibility and saying, no, that's not for me. Again, with the Seinfeld voice.
Yeah, that's good.
Then there's something going on there. Something's not calibrated right. And
so scripture comes to mind for me on 1 Corinthians 13:11. It's probably comes to mind for you too. Well, maybe for all of us. So Paul's saying, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I gave up childish ways. What do you think he's talking about there?
I think he's talking about the progression that we're to take. That there's a certain time and place for everything. And as you become a man, then the attitudes and behaviors that you had as a 12-year-old aren't going to fly very well, as you are in your adulthood. In fact, it's going to cause a lot of problems for you. And it's going to probably run across others who are also not spiritually mature or don't have any spirituality to them at all. And when those two things cross paths, then, that can cause a lot of conflict too. The markers of that, lack of maturity there is usually we're self-centered, we're impulsive. And I'm just keeping it to the guys here. Lack of consideration for others. Our time is our time. Our tea time is our tea time. It's about us. Sunday's my fun day. My man cave is my man cave. I'm going to do what I want because I've earned it. And, good night. I've had a stressful week at work, and this weekend, we're going to just...
We're probably making a lot of enemies of men right now. No, you're right. No, I agree. I think it's not that the man cave, right, or the long day in of itself is bad. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, have that. You've had a long day. Like,
there's some great man caves out there too.
There are some great man caves. Like, and sit back and have your topo and do whatever. Like, there's a
invite Mike and I over.
Like there is a place that's okay. Even if you play a video game, you go play some Madden, whatever. Like, okay, there's a place, but that's not. We're not talking about the one-off time or to celebrate. We're talking about like when someone's defaulting to that, right? Like that's the go-to or the escape.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Like you're working hard for the weekend. You're living for the weekend.
When everybody's working for the weekend.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah. So no, you're right. It's like when that's the goal, or when life gets hard, which it will at some point for all of us, I go to escape. Like I go deal with my issues by going to one of those things versus kind of facing the responsibility head on, I'm choosing to kind of pass it off, right? Are we talking more about examples kind of like that?
I think that's, that covers quite a bit of the examples there of what it looks like today and what many guys and what we are prone to and what we want without knowing otherwise.
Yep. Do you think that's, do you think sometimes that's also a lack of fatherhood? Like fathers modeling that for future son. I mean, we're talking guys specifically. This applies across the board. I mean, so do you think it's a lack of having that modeled as from parents, above a lot of people?
Yeah, in a way, I think if we have it modeled in a good, positive way and see that from our fathers, then I think that's going to carry over and help us to see the value in it. I also think it maybe does stem as rebellion from what you might have seen from your father. If they were really hard on you and said, okay, well, do this and do that and don't ever have any free time. And, or, they locked you up in a schedule that's full of sports and, and that's not your career at this point, then you might have some rebellion there that you might not even be aware of that, okay, I'm going to use my time the way that I want to use my time.
Yeah, like almost like a dad being a workaholic or something. And then you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to work, or I'm not even going to apply myself to employment or something like that. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Not going to be like you, old man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sticking it to the man kind of a thing. Which is basically acting like a child,
the parent
throwing a fit.
Yeah.
But we've all we've all been there. It's nothing that you and I haven't done. I mean,
No.
I've probably been accused every now and then, maybe on a weekly basis of sometimes acting like a child or being a little immature sometimes.
Oh, certainly.
And I don't wake up thinking I'm going to do that, but I probably will default to some level of humor or just kind of, this is for me. So in my head, sometimes acting like an idiot, which sometimes idiot is a hard word for some people. I recognize that, but probably when I just don't want to have to be a guy, when I don't want to adult, I don't know. You tend to sometimes send out the boy ahead of the man to kind of play around or test the waters, and you don't always. It's hard to strive for that maturity and die to yourself day after day. Obviously it comes really easy for you. I know this is like a really simple thing.
Oh, I know. It's just remedial right now for me. We're just going through the motions here. No, it's something that I still face today. In fact, we talked last episode about, your Dallas Stars beating my Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah. I like how you whisper in that, but it's true. They did.
I do remember, and again, this is we already dated me by mentioning the AARPC.
Yeah, so you don't even know what it is. Yeah. The words are hard.
The
when
words
you get
are
older.
hard.
Yeah,
they're getting harder.
It's okay.
But back in '99, when the Dallas
Stars in my day,
when they won their first Stanley Cup,
they
beat my Colorado Avalanche then as well. And
was Brett a nickel during that time?
Was Brett a nickel?
Brett a nickel? You're sitting right across from me.
The guy who
you're thinking because the guy who won.
Yeah.
No, back when you said back in my day, everyone's like, paper was 10 cents and get off my lawn, and Brett was a nickel.
I'm just going to think of Brett Hull as
okay.
Brett is a nickel now.
All right,
but anyway. They beat the Colorado Avalanche, and I remember back then thinking, this is the worst thing ever. I can't believe it. We had a chance to win a Stanley Cup, and I took it hard.
Yeah.
I was upset. that they lost 2 Game 7s 2 years in a row. And so, as they lost again this time around, it's funny to look back and think about, my attitude back then toward it and how childish it was and how childish it still is today when they lost. No, but no, still, I was able to at least have a comparison there between,
like, you can look back and go, okay, was it the end of my life that they lost a game?
And they really do. They don't know me. They don't care about me.
I mean, hey, Rangers won last year. I was crying. My brother and I, like,
so
literal tears, crying. It's amazing. And all of us were like, that's awesome. It is also a game at the end of the day.
It is a game.
Right? It's remembering perspective that these things are great. Or Madden was great, or this TV show, awesome. It was creative, or it was entertaining. It's also just entertainment.
And I think you hit on something there too, is that usually those kind of memories when we're kids, whether it be sports or our team winning or playing a video game or something that we really enjoyed, then, those are good memories. And we want to go back to those.
Yeah. But yeah. Wow.
Maybe that's part of the reason why we continue to do that as men. It's because we were searching to try to find something that made us feel good back then.
I think so. I 100% think we attach, you hear like a good song or a sports team. I totally think there's a deeper meaning. Like, I don't think we just wake up and go, I'm this guy for this team forever. There's a reason we've kind of hitched our wagon, so to speak, to it. So you're right. I mean, it's going to be, it's a deep topic because it's going to be so different for everyone. Maybe it is a memory, maybe it's a really loving memory. I have great memories of my dad and I and my brother at the ballpark in Arlington Stadium before, and you're like stomping your feet on these metal bleachers as you're simultaneously burning in the sun, and then going to the ballpark in Arlington. We lived up there for a couple of years. I mean, it was just, we were there all the time. And so I could see people attaching memories, and absolutely striving to find some kind of fulfillment through these, I don't know, through these things that are fine in of themselves. But I think when they become more than they should, the Bible would call those idols, which is harsh wording. But the child, you go to your childish ways, everything else is a priority over the Lord. I mean, that would be an idol. So I think we're looking for fulfillment at the end of the day, like satisfaction.
Right. Satisfaction, and then nothing wrong with those things themselves. I mean, but that's just sports.
Sure,
there's other things, right? I mean, we can certainly get distracted by other things that just tend to mark the fact that we just haven't really embraced wanting to be mature and wanted to have more responsibility. And if we don't know the value of responsibility, then of course we're just going to flounder there. We're going to stay there for a while until somebody hopefully wakes us up out of that, or until the Lord gets a hold of us.
Well, how have you, you're a mature guy, if I may say, co-host Chris.
Is that because of
I didn't say all the time, but don't get too excited. But how have you, we're talking about embracing kind of maturity and finding fulfillment in how God's created us to be as adults, man or woman. In this topic, we're talking about, being a man, putting away boyish things. How have you found ways to kind of mature? Do you just wake up overnight and go, all right, I'm AARP eligible now, so I better be mature and put real shoes on, not just flip-flops every day?
That's exactly what I need as I'm looking at my toes.
As you're looking at your flip-flops. Yeah. I wish, we don't have our cameras on quite yet, but people will see your feet soon.
That's a gift.
How have you learned, I guess, to even mature at all? Like, how's that work?
Well, if it is working, I would say that it's being part of community, being something parter than again.
The words
turning 50 thing.
The old age thing is really hurting.
Being in community is something that we're designed for, and being around other men. It's going to be very difficult to stay self-centered and selfish within that group and not see the disparity there. If you really are with men who are looking to grow and looking
mature men, not just other men, but actually like mature, wiser
mm-hmm. men looking to grow in their relationship with the Lord, looking at strengthening their families, looking at strengthening their own spiritual walk, then you're going to have a good example there of how you fit into the bigger picture.
One of the things I think my dad taught us on working hard, and he modeled for us something after my parents got divorced. He had to take 2 boys on, and during like formidable years, which looking back is like, man, how did he? He definitely wanted to escape multiple times. But he modeled like a really strong work ethic with us. And so I've been working for a long time. I had to pay my own, like since like, I don't know, 15, just paying my own way, all that good stuff. I feel like I started recognizing like low 20s that I would work like a 12-hour day and pay my bills. And probably right before becoming a believer, there was something I feel like I was sensing within me that was like, this is good. Like this stewardship, like this responsibility thing. Obviously, we say adulting now, like you said. There was something in me, like hardwired in me, if I had to be really honest. I was like, this is the right thing to do. Like this is, and I feel like I've learned more now. That's we're created for that. Like, I mean, Adam and Eve working in the garden before sin, and they were already working. Working is godly. It's good.
There were no puffy Cheetos in the garden.
There was no puffy. They were crunching. They were actually, stepping up and crunching the Cheetos. There's something about, even if you're exhausted at the end of the day, like a good exhaustion. Like, and we're talking about sports. I mean, it's not all about sports. Let's just say you played your heart out at a game and you're laying it out on the field. There's something really satisfying, even though, you might practically be exhausted, but it's like a good, I really worked hard and strived, to love my wife well, to serve my kids, to drive home after a 12-hour day and prepare yourself for what some people call as a second shift mentality. Like, I'm going in to just give my all to my family.
Right.
And you might go to bed last, or your head finally hits the pillow and there's something where you're like, I'm going to sleep really good.
Yeah, your sleep ought to be really good.
Yeah. Right. And then versus what could be, I'm ignoring all my responsibilities. I'm eating the puffy Cheetos or playing the video games. I'm not striving to do anything with work.
Yeah.
I don't think that person's sleeping good at night.
They're not connecting with their family either, I would say, in most of those cases too. If it's just about, what can I get to that's going to allow me to medicate in a way, to kind of block things out, then you're not communicating.
I think if we were to be really, really gut level honest, and sometimes guys, I don't think will admit this. I think we're to be really gut level honest. When we do that, we're totally not satisfied. We know we're not satisfied, but we don't necessarily see the way out, or it's so appealing to keep things so, quote, easy. It's just a facade, I think the enemy puts in front of us. But we know there's something in us that knows, like, I don't think I'm created for that. We're not finding satisfaction in that. I know we know that deep down.
You can say that just in regard to list any sin in that case. And I know we'll cover more as we go along here.
It's empty
on this podcast, but the emptiness that comes along with not playing your role.
Yeah.
Not being within the design that God has for you. And
100%.
Also just the purpose, the lack of purpose behind it too.
Yeah.
We're made for a purpose.
It seems appealing too at first.
Oh,
like, you're attracted to the sin because you're like, oh, this will make my life better.
Yeah, just like that apple in the garden, right?
Yes.
So,
and then the second you bite into it, it's like, oh no, that was the worst. So what would be an encouragement? Like, what would be? How do we send men, women out on? Okay, it's worth it to mature. It's not going to help you to stay in an immature, childish state.
Yeah. So, and it sounds cliche, and it is. No man is an island, not in God's economy. And so, surround yourself with men who are looking to grow in their Christ-like faith, in their spiritual maturity, in their walk, that are also wanting to engage in community. Make sure you're part of that. Don't walk alone. There is... A lone wolf does not stand very long on their own. And so in this case, whatever is being marketed toward us, and usually, with the action movies and the things that we see, it's the guy on his own, and that's the thing that looks cool, and they think they just got it all figured out. And that's been marketed to us since we were watching John Wayne movies with our grandfather, all the way up until now.
Yeah.
It's not that way. We need each other. We do. We need other men around us. We need guys who are willing to be honest with us, who are also willing to take some honesty back.
Yep.
It's what we love about sports, really, whenever we play on teams too, is that's reality playing out. We're having to help each other out, or else
you're picking each other up,
or else the team fails and it suffers, right?
Yeah, you're moving towards a common goal. You're working together. I mean, this would be spiritual growth, discipleship, trying to share the gospel. You're trying to honestly grow to be a man. I mean, 1 Timothy 6, kind of 11 through 12-ish, and there, talks about, he's talking about the opposite of all these different sins we drift towards just naturally. But as for you, O man of God, flee these things, pursue. So instead of going after the sins and the childish ways, pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, steadfastness, gentleness, fighting the good fight of faith. And it's striking me too. Don't dwell on the times you have been childish. You're still going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You're still going to play that game a little too long or stay in that man cave a little too long. Where kind of the rub is on that if you're going to be honest and you're really trying to press into the Lord. But don't let the enemy have a field day with you and go, see, you know what? You can't grow up. Just stay. It's easy. Continue being this kid, or you're not good enough. That's a lie from the enemy, right? You can start to act like a man the way the Bible's talking about this. I mean, you start right now. Just by you even listening to this, the fact you haven't turned it off, might even be an encouragement that there's something in you that feels a drive to actually want to mature.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that we could have a separate series on this because there's so many games that we play as kids and games that we play as adults when acting like children, and we could really do a part 2 on this because work is great and we want to work hard. And you've talked about the value that you get out of a hard day's work, and there's also King of the Mountain, and I believe there is an immaturity to many of us where we're trying to outdo our neighbors, trying to outdo our friends, and
is that what King of the Mountain is, by the way? I'm too young to play that game, so that was back.
All I remember was there was a lot of carnage trying to get to the top.
You're just trying to be king of a mountain.
Trying to be king of the mountain.
Okay.
That mountain could have been a dirt pile. It could have been a gravel pile. Whatever it was. It could have been a pile of mattresses. So
whatever they had back in the day.
Whatever they had back in the day, back when people were, back 50-something years ago.
No, you're right. No, keep going. Yeah, the comparison. Yeah, that's a whole.
So there are really great things that we can take to the extreme, and it's really just being childish in that too.
That's good. So last words as we kind of wrap up. Like, what kind of final words would you have here?
Yeah, I'd say you'd need to. Though you're part of a community and though you should be part of a group of men that are looking to grow together, make sure that you're taking the time there individually, for self-reflection, for prayer, for getting into the Word. And, that's just going to lead to better accountability with those other guys because you're being honest with yourself, you're being honest with your God, you're spending that time, and then you can actually provide more benefit to the group because you're talking about the truth when you're together.
Yeah.
And you're immersed in that truth, and you're able to share what God has to say about it and not just opinion.
Yeah. And it's actually worth it and good and godly to grow up and have responsibilities. That's great. AARP, another thing that's worth it is the American Association of Retired Persons. Okay. And there's things that you can save more on your everyday. This is from the World Wide Web. Once in a lifetime discounts, restaurants, shopping, gas, travel, important issues like Social Security, Medicare, and prescription prices. Quality auto, life, dental, vision, other insurance products from top companies. So, I mean, I feel like, are you feeling strong?
You're feeling strong, my friend.
Because you, sir, the new member of the AARP, soon to be coming your way.
All I had to do was grow older, put away childish things, and get myself a new AARP membership.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us. Please consider rating and reviewing our podcast and hitting subscribe on whichever platform you prefer. Remember to keep moving forward because we're not quite there.